Hi, and welcome to TTELT, Teaching Tips for English Language Teachers, a program of educators worldwide. I'm your host today, Melanie Gobert.
Hello, everyone. This is Melanie Gobert, your host for today's episode of TTELT, Teaching Tips for English Language Teachers. Joining us today is Seetha Saragan. Seetha is a personal development trainer, lifestyle consultant, and motivational speaker based in Dubai. And she's going to be talking to us about the need for teacher self-care.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Melanie. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. And I think when we talk about self-care, I think from all the professionals that I've come across, I have to admit that educators tend to be a little bit slow and really paying attention to their self-care, probably because they are in the field where they are so prone to taking care of their students that they tend to overlook the importance of taking care of themselves. And I would like to begin by talking about what are some of the very, very personal steps that a teacher can make to ensure that they are taking care of themselves. I think the first step, which would be journaling. I think writing down whatever is coming to your mind, how the day went, what are the areas that you feel upset about. Now, that is probably a great way to start off on your self-care practice. Now, you may ask me why. Why should it start with journaling? Why not just go straight into something like relaxation techniques or exercises or eating habits? Because I think journaling as a form of writing therapy, I think it enables people to express themselves and express themselves without the fear of being judged. So I think as teachers, you could just start writing and finding out how you feel about yourself. That's one way. The next step would be to listen to motivational podcasts, read. That's another step that you can actually take up. And I also believe that when it comes to networks, we may all have different forms of networks that tend to support us. Especially when you are in school, you'd have your colleagues. But ideally, even though it's good to have a very good set of colleagues and good support network in school, it's good to build a certain network outside school as well. So that means if you have your own hobbies or you have your own areas of interest, build a small little group around that. And I think that could be also very, very, very beneficial too. Now, when it comes to, I think, not just what I've mentioned about journaling and at the same time also having your own network, I think reading is also another way of making sure that you're able to get inspiration from people around you, from people who are no longer alive, but who would be able to give you a sense of purpose, relaxation, and also help you understand whether you are going on the right track. And another one would be to ensure that you are listening to music. The music is also a wonderful pastime to indulge in when it comes to self-care. And of course, to check in with loved people. I think the pandemic has been an eye-opener for so many reasons. And one of the reasons, of course, is the importance of not feeling lonely. Now, you may be very happy being by yourself and also taking care of yourself. You may have a lot of things to do, which is fine. But there might be some of you out there who believe that they need to get connected with people every day. So for such people especially, and even for those of you who do not really think about getting in touch with your loved ones, please do so, because this is also a great form of self-care. Because the more you reach out to people, the happier you're likely to feel, especially with people who are supportive, positive, and encouraging. And of course, when it comes to connection with fellow teachers is also very important. Have your own time with them. And now we come to the exercises part. Following a certain regular form of exercise, which includes yoga, which includes meditation, and also which includes some time in the morning where you're able to reflect on your life. I know it's extremely busy, but having some me time every day is important. At the same time, when you are home, make sure you have some time for yourself. Prioritize some me time, which I know is very, very difficult for a lot of teachers and educators. And of course, I think we are already coming to the close, I think, of the time that I'm allotted, but I'll be quick, which is organizing the time that you have and organizing your space. For example, today morning, I was just busy. I'm busy currently with my editing of my research. And I was just thinking, you know what? I think I need to clear the clutter. There were just too many things all around. And somehow that's also taking away my attention, I thought. So I just cleared up and I feel a lot more better. So that is another step. And of course, managing the goals in your life. What are some of the goals you have? Not just professional, but personal as well. Make a list of them so that you're aware about what is important to you today, in right now, and what is going to be important to you in future. So set goals in your life that will be enabling you to achieve them without stress. And of course, we move to the classroom. And I would say the first step is to celebrate the class victories you see in your students. How can you make the learning environment more happier for them? Try to bring in that joy into the classroom because that's going to help you feel a lot stressed. And if it means finding out ways on engaging students, do that because you never know how exactly such activities are not just going to help them, but help you to become a better educator and a better individual as well. Do I have more time, Melanie, or are
I
we
just wanted
good?
to ask you, how
Yes.
can how can we identify compassion fatigue that can, if ignored, lead to burnout? How can we identify that?
That is a very good question, Melanie. In fact, one of the first things I would say to identify is that you are constantly feeling tired. You're constantly feeling tired, you're constantly feeling drained, and you just think that you can't go on with this anymore. Now, that is actually a small warning. I call it small because the next step will be the physical symptoms of the stress that your body is going to be signaling to you. So, already your body is trying to say that, listen, or your mind is telling you you can't move forward. The next step would be the compassion fatigue. I would say the other symptoms would be you might be having headaches, you might be having certain difficulties during the day, which could even be caused by anxiety, brought about by stress. So all those are symptoms that you really cannot ignore. Another symptom could be sleeplessness, because when someone is very stressed, it can, as you know, affect their sleep patterns as well. And also their eating habits. When sometimes people feel very stressed, they tend to kind of ignore what is healthy, what is not healthy for them. So they might go on a diet which is not at all healthy. They may not be eating on time because they don't feel hungry. Now, all those are, I would say, cyclical. So the more we pay attention to all these different areas which are getting affected, that would definitely give an educator an idea exactly to what extent is compassion fatigue affecting them, or are they moving closer and closer to burnout?
Okay, I'd like to thank you joining us today. Seetha has shared with us both ways to prevent or ways to deal with stress and burnout, strategies for teacher self-care. And she's also elaborated on the different warning signs if you need to practice more self-care. Thank you very much for joining us today on today's episode of TTELT, Seetha.
Thank you. Dr. Melanie, I would just like to request you here. You're most welcome to, or should I put this on the chat box? Some of my links, would that kind of help? So in case anyone would like to get in touch with me, they can.
In fact, what you can do, you email them to me and I will incorporate them into the bio and description when I push this to YouTube and Spotify. And
Sure.
as well as when I advertise it on social media when it's released. How about that?
Sure. I will do that.
Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Melanie. Pleasure to meet you again. Take care. Have a great day ahead.
This has been Melanie Gobert, your host for today's episode of TTELT, Teaching Tips for English Language Teachers.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us today. Share with us how you are using these tips. Leave us a comment or voice message on social media or at ttelt.org. Thanks for joining this episode of TTELT, brought to you by Educators Worldwide. Follow, like, and subscribe to TTELT on your social media, and try a new teaching tip today.